Most powerful rockets existing right now. There are several reasons why rockets are so popular, in addition to creating spectacular sky explosions. They also symbolize humanity's drive for advancement in space. With technological breakthroughs and the high demand for heavy equipment due to space exploration, many different rockets have been produced by manufacturers worldwide. Do you want to know which rockets are the most powerful right now? Then stay tuned until the end of this video. The Soviet Union launched Sputnik, the first manufactured satellite to orbit the Earth, in 1957. This was also the unofficial commencement of the space race, resulting in amazing technological advances. Since then, skyscraper-sized launch vehicles have been constructed all around the world. Humanity is more compelled than ever to increase its presence in space. Today, I will look at some of the most powerful rockets ever made and upcoming initiatives. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this before we continue. Click the bell button to receive quick updates about new videos. Have you already done so? Let us get it. Number 10. Space Shuttle. Payload of 60,600 pounds. One of history's most powerful rockets was also one of the most relaunched vehicles. The Space Shuttle launch system was created in 1981 by the United Launch Alliance, a collaboration between Lockheed Martin and Boeing, to transfer astronauts and materials to lower Earth orbit and the International Space Station. The Space Shuttle launched 135 missions during its existence. The weight of putting a massive space bus into orbit was one of the challenges that the Space Shuttle had to overcome. The rocket stood 184 feet tall and weighed more than 4.5 million pounds. The Space Shuttle, with one of the largest external tanks and 2 solid rocket boosters, could lift 60,600 pounds to low Earth orbit, LEO. However, in 2011, the program was cancelled due to 2 horrific accidents that resulted in the deaths of 14 American astronauts. Number 9. Delta IV Heavy, 63,000 pounds of payload. Following the retirement of the United States' heaviest rocket in 2004, the United Launch Alliance, ULA, created the Delta IV Heavy to carry on its legacy. While it's not as massive, the rocket was easier to launch and capable of carrying heavy payloads. The Delta IV is currently the second most powerful rocket still in use. The 236-foot-tall rocket weighs 1.6 million pounds and stands 236 feet tall. It has a 63,000-pound LEO payload capacity and is fueled by a common booster core and 2 side boosters. The Delta IV is vital for launching the CIA Orion spy satellites. The rocket will be retired by ULA in 2024. Number 8. Falcon Heavy, 141,000-pound payload. One of the key factors behind the retirement of Delta IV Heavy is one of the greatest advances in spaceflight history. SpaceX's Falcon Heavy is approximately the same size as ULA's Heavy launch vehicle, but it has double the capacity and costs half as much to launch. Elon Musk flew this rocket, which employs modified Falcon 9 components, for the first time in 2018. The Falcon Heavy stands around 230 feet tall and weighs 3.1 million pounds. The rocket can carry cargo weighing up to 141,000 pounds, but it can also transport individuals into deep space. After its first launch, SpaceX intended to use the rocket to return astronauts to the moon. However, the corporation shifted its focus to a larger project. Keep reading to find out what the project is. Number 7. Soviet N-1 with a payload of 210,000 pounds. President John F. Kennedy announced in 1962 that the United States of America would be the first nation in the history of the world to land a man on the moon. At this point in the Cold War, tensions were at their highest and the Soviet Union stepped to the plate. While the United States was hard at designing one of the most powerful rockets, the Soviet Union began working on its own. However, this was around when the Soviet regime began to lose steam. When an underfunded rocket called the N-1 was ready for its first launch in 1969, it was clear that the US would triumph. The Soviet rocket's structure was huge, standing 345 feet tall, yet it was exceedingly unstable. The project was delayed and then scrapped in 1976 after 4 failed launch attempts, including one devastating crash immediately after liftoff. Number 6. Energia payload, 220,000 pounds. The cancellation of the N-1s did not mark the end of the Soviet Union's aspiration to dominate the space race. Following the great success of the US Space Shuttle, the USSR developed its spaceplane. However, the Buran spacecraft required a super heavy launch vehicle, which the Soviet Union lacked. As a result, the Energia was built for its last test flight in 1987. The Energia was far shorter than its US counterpart, only 192 feet tall. The Soviet rocket used a medium core stage and 4 Zenit rockets instead of a tall central booster and 2 strap-on boosters. Finally, the Soviet Union possessed a rocket capable of carrying large payloads. Unfortunately, financing ran out after the country's breakup, and the Energia rocket was retired. Number 5. Yenisei. Payload of 290,000 pounds. Russia has not participated in spaceflight in 25 years, but the government announced its return in 2018, while SpaceX was preparing for its first Falcon Heavy test flight. Energia's legacy contractor disclosed its newest project, Yenisei. Although it is still in the works, it will be Russia's first super heavy launch vehicle since the dissolution of the Soviet Union. The rocket's technical design was only completed at the end of last year, so nothing is known about it. When completed, the Yenisei will have a payload capacity of 100 tons and weigh approximately 6.8 million pounds. A test launch of the Russian vehicle is scheduled for 2028. Production of the vehicle is already complete. Number 4. SLS, Space Launch System. Payload of 300,000 pounds. In the wake of the triumph of the Falcon Heavy, NASA revealed the Artemis program designed to increase the likelihood of spaceflights, including human crews. The program's goal was to return people to deep space. NASA would need to build a new rocket to keep astronauts safe in orbit. The Space Launch System, developed by a group of leading defense companies in the United States, is one of the most powerful rockets ever created. This massive launch vehicle is 365 feet tall. It can carry payloads weighing approximately 210,000 pounds to lower Earth orbit, with an upper echelon weighing almost 300,000 pounds. The rocket intends to transport astronauts to the moon to construct a lunar outpost. However, this large rocket has a high pre-launch cost, and its disposable nature raises doubts about its future in the business. Number 3. March 9 Long. 310,000 pounds payload. The Long March 9 is the most recent Long March launch vehicle designed from China. Although the rocket is still developing, we already notice interesting changes from American rockets. Rather than employing external boosters, the Long March 9 has a single core booster powered by huge 120-ton engines. The Chinese launch vehicle will be 364 feet tall and weigh more than 9 million pounds. It will have a payload capacity of 310,000 pounds. The Long March 9 is expected to be tested as early as 2028. Number 2. Saturn V with a payload of 310,000 pounds. No other vehicle in launch history can match Saturn V's achievements. The rocket was a technological marvel, developed in 1969, and it was larger and more powerful than anything previously created. Moreover, no other design could compete with it for nearly 50 years, even after it was retired in 1973. The Saturn V was planned to send humans to the moon, possessing the necessary dimensions. The rocket stood 363 feet tall and weighed approximately 6.5 million pounds. The most striking aspect of the rocket is its payload capacity. No other rocket has been able to deliver a payload of equal magnitude. Even the SLS will not have the power of the Saturn V, and its record will hold until SpaceX's new project, Starship, is ready. Number 1. Starship, with a payload of 330,000 pounds. SpaceX had a single purpose since its inception: to inhabit Mars. The spaceflight firm, founded in 2012, made rapid progress toward that goal. Falcon Heavy made news in 2018 with its inaugural launch, capable of returning humans to the moon. However, SpaceX swiftly shifted its focus to the greater goal, which required a larger rocket. SpaceX desired to travel to Mars rather than the moon, with NASA unveiling the Artemis project with plans to develop lunar bases and beyond. Elon Musk's spaceflight business revealed Starship, a massive rocket. This rocket would be bigger than any other in history, including the legendary Saturn V. Remember to thumbs up this video and subscribe to this channel for more videos like it. Ensure you also click the bell icon to alert when new videos are posted. For the time being, till the next video.